Welcome to Q&A Selling Online, with answers to questions about creating an online empire, promoting products, or building a brand. Your host, private label and e-commerce entrepreneur, Quinn Amorm.
Welcome to the show, my friends. Today we have with us husband of one and a father of seven. He's also the host of the widely popular Facebook Live group, Rise and Grind. He's been spotlighted on ABC, NBC, CBS, all the TV networks that have three letters. And he's an expert in a dealership culture development and leadership training. So this is something that we never had here before. He has 20 years experience in the automotive industry. He's been, he took a dealership from 120 cars a month to an 800% growth. Okay, 800% growth. This was done over a 5-year term. And it is Glenn Lundy. Glenn is here with us today. How's it going, Glenn?
It's going well, man. Thank you so much for having me on. I really appreciate it.
No, thank you for taking the time to do this interview here with us.
Yeah, of course.
So, Glenn, I heard that story, and I know it's been in the news that you took this dealership and you grew it in 5 years, 800%. So if sometimes growing something 800% that is just starting is very easy, because 800% of nothing is still nothing.
Right.
You took an existing dealership that had 120 sales per month. Like that, how does one do that?
Well, we focused on just 4 key areas. We wanted to scale in volume, scale in profitability, scale our employee retention, and scale our overall dealership culture. We wanted to create a winning culture where year after year, month after month, we were having success. And so by taking a look at all of the negative things that people hated about the auto industry, both customers and employees, we were able to do a 180-degree turn and do the exact opposite of what everybody hated. And in doing so, we started to experience growth. And then, of course, we just fueled that growth, and we just kept going and going and going and going and going until we went from 120 cars in January of 2011 to where we sold 1,043 cars in March of 2018, and lots of big months in between. So pretty incredible.
Man, what is that? 3.5 cars per day average, isn't it?
So when we sold 1,000 cars, it's like 34 cars per day, something like that on average.
Yeah. Incredible. So
we're only open 12 hours. So I used to break it down. It's like 3 cars an hour every hour for a straight 30 days.
That's incredible. This had to be in a major city. Was it one of the major U.S. cities?
We were actually in Paris, Kentucky, with the population of 9,600 people.
No way.
One of the smallest little cities in the country.
So you had to see the same people come in for more than one car, or I guess neighborhoods.
Yeah, we just figured out that, back in the day, the car business used to be everybody within a couple miles of your dealership. But nowadays, everybody's market is everybody. The internet has opened it up to where I can sell to California. I can sell to Atlanta. I can sell to New York. People do it every single day. They buy and sell products from all over the world. And so instead of just attacking our tiny little market and focusing on, well, we can only sell so many because our market only has 9,600 people, instead we were like, we have the best experience. We have the best product. Therefore, we're going to share that product with everyone across the country, and people will drive for miles and miles and miles to come do business with us. So that was kind of our focus, and that's what ended up happening. Our average customer drove over an hour to get to the dealership, and then another hour to get home, and we shipped cars all over the United States.
Okay. Now I kind of get it, because I started imagining if I would do that, and I just realized one of the cars I bought, it was 500 kilometers away, which is, I think, 350 miles probably. And I went to that dealership because I saw online, I saw what I wanted.
Right.
So I did do that. So it's true. People will do, in my case, it was 4-hour drive each way, 4.5.
Yeah, people will do it, man, for the right deal, the right experience. If you've got the right reviews online, those types of things, tell the right story, and people will come.
All right. So what kind of what make of dealership was this?
A Chevy Buick store.
Okay, but you don't right now. You don't just work with Chevy, right? You are more of a businessman than the one that just loves one brand, right?
Yes, correct. Yeah. So since I left Dan Cummins Chevrolet and Buick, now the dealerships that are in my group range everything from, Subaru dealerships, Volvo dealerships, Chevy dealerships. We even have some dealerships that aren't, they don't have like a franchise attached to them. They're just a used car. So we have 2 independent dealerships, both in Louisiana. So across the board, yeah, just a wide variety of leaders in the automotive industry that I work with all the way across the country.
Okay, got it. So actually, where I come from, not where I come from, but I lived in Europe for 20 years, and in Portugal,
Nice.
the European country where I lived, some of the biggest car lots you can see are the used car lots. There's new dealerships that don't have that kind of volume.
Sure.
So I'm guessing that is kind of some that you do help with, because that is what you do now. You go all over the country and you help dealerships gain basically what you did to Dan Cummins, correct?
Yeah, sort of. So the way we set up the business, we do pretty much everything virtual, and we have even before COVID, starting back in November. So I work with the owners and the general managers. Basically, I work with the leaders of the organizations, and it's my job to help the owners extract greatness out of those people. And we do that with weekly coaching calls, weekly trainings. Every once in a while, we'll bring in some outside influences to speak to the team, so on and so forth.
All right. So in the intro, I told everybody that you are a father of 7.
Yes.
So, what are the difference in ages?
So I have a 21-year-old, and then there's a big gap. And then I have a 10-year-old and an 8-year-old and a 6-year-old and a 4-year-old and a 3-year-old and an 18-month-old. And my wife is pregnant right now with the number 8.
Wow, Glenn. So congratulations.
Thanks.
And man, I know because I'm a father of 3, I know it's super incredible. There are parts that I didn't like, the sleepless nights.
Sure.
I still remember them because 2 of mine were born at the same time.
Oh, wow.
So I have twins.
Yeah, nice.
And man, there was a long time where there was many sleepless nights because if one wakes up, he will go and wake up the other one.
Yeah,
and then
for sure.
The other one will wake up the other one. So
yeah, bouncing off each other.
Tell me, how does that help you, or how does it influence your business? Because you have to spend some time away from home, away from them.
Sure.
Do you end up getting used to it, or you still are dying to get home every time?
No, man, I love and I'm very passionate about both my family and my career. My wife is an amazing human, and she homeschools all of our children. She has for the last 3 or 4 years, something like that. So she homeschools the children. So what we do is, my wife's got her lane. She takes care of the house. She does all of those things. And then I kind of have my lane as far as the business, and we come together through our marriage and through our children. And so I believe that the season that we're in right now, some people will say, well, you have to sacrifice time with your kids. And I don't believe that. What I believe is that sacrifice is not the word. I believe that we are investing in our children's future, right? So by putting in the work and by traveling, by working with the dealerships, and building my own business, by doing all of those things, that is an investment. I am exchanging my time in order to invest in my children's future. Now, we try to make, when I'm home, obviously I try to spend, as much time with them as I can. I have a goal this year. The last 20 years when I was actually in retail automotive, I never had breakfast with my kids, and I would have dinner with my kids, maybe once a week, once or twice a week, because I was always working crazy hours. So now I have a goal of having breakfast and dinner with my kids 250 times in 2020. So that leaves me 115 days to be able to travel, to be able to be gone, so on and so forth. And so really it's just a matter of making sure that you get the quality time, making sure you dedicate and commit some time, but also don't feel guilty when you're working, as long as it's an investment in your family's future. Now, if you're just out there being lazy and you're working, I'm working late, I'm going to work early, or any of that crap, but you're not actually putting in 110% every minute that you're there, then yeah, you're sacrificing time with your kids. But when you're investing, going freaking balls to the wall, pedal to the metal, giving it all you got, that's an investment in your children's future.
I really like that. I like that, Glenn, because I tend to work long hours. I do it from home, so they are kind of they're next door.
Sure.
But I do kind of separate myself because I have to do my own work, and sometimes I feel guilty about it. But then I start thinking about it, because I'm not just pretending to work; I'm actually doing stuff, and it is for them, because I want the faster we can grow, the faster we can do, have the freedom to go on picnics, and that's what my kids like, picnics and camping.
Right.
The babies, they're going to be 3. I still call them babies because
they are babies.
They are babies, right?
Yeah, and a lot of people think, like, a big mistake that people make is they're like trying to create these big, massive, crazy, over the top moments with their kids, right? They're like, we got to go on a cruise for a week, or we have to do this, and then they never really get to it, or they're working so hard, towards chasing this big goal, when in reality, dude, your kids don't need much, dude. Like, I dare you, your kids are 3. So I would challenge you to take the 2 kids, put your phone to the side, tell your wife to leave you alone, take the 2 3-year-olds, sit down on the floor with them in a circle and say, what are your kids' names?
Caden and Hope. And
so
I have a third one, but she's 6. That's Carly.
Okay, so take all 3 of them. It's Caden and Hope, and who's the third one?
Carly.
Caden, Hope, and Carly. What do you guys want to do? And they're going to say, well, we want to play a board game, or we want you to do this, or we want to play a video game, or whatever. And you're like, okay, let's do that. And do that with them, and I promise you, 12 minutes later, one of them will be running over here going for mama. Another one's going to want to do something else. The 6-year-olds, 10 minutes is all these kids need. And but we just keep saying, we'll do it later. We try to make some big trip or whatever, man. Just take 10 minutes, sit down. What do you guys want to do? And by the time you give them that much attention, they're already on to the next thing. They just want to feel like you love them and that you care enough to sit down on the floor with them for freaking 10 minutes. That's really all they want at that age. Now, when they get older, teenagers, young adulthood, it's different. But when they're little kids, man, that's the time to grind, dude. Put in the freaking work, invest in the future. So when they are teenagers, you can give them opportunities like good schools or good, educational programs for entrepreneurship, or a business that they can step into, things like that.
That's so true. I know for a fact that is true, because the big trips, sometimes you want to do them because you think that's what's gonna do it.
Right.
I know my kids, they love building Lego blocks, the big blocks, and building towers, and then playing with Play-Doh. And I do sometimes go there, and I feel great too, because I can build things out of Play-Doh that, to me, they look like nothing. But if I tell them it's a fish, they believe it, and they think I'm really good at
it. That's right, man. That's awesome.
And it's so easy. They will be pleased with just something like that.
That's it, man. You do that, you do 10 minutes a day every day, and wow, what a relationship you can build over time, Absolutely.
So Glenn, tell me something. Life hasn't always been easy, right? it's not always winning. We know life is made of ups and downs. Did you have any of those?
Well, I believe that all human beings' lives go through 4 seasons. And as we go through those seasons, it just cycles. It just keeps on going to the next and to the next and to the next. And sometimes seasons are worse and sometimes they're a little bit better. It's just like 4 seasons in real life: spring, summer, fall, winter. Sometimes you have a really bad winter. Other times it's not that bad of a winter. And so as humans, what I've seen, because I do have so many kids, and this is how I kind of realized it, what I've seen is that we go through 4 seasons. So we go through seasons of change where, if you picture like a kid, right, your baby is just laying there and it's like all the baby does is lay there and poop and pee and goo goo gaga. That's it. And it's totally content, just laying on its back, can't lift its head, can't do nothing, right? And then what happens is all of a sudden something changes up here. And that baby says, wait a minute, I want to move. Like, I don't want to be counting on this dude to come pick me up all the time and so something changes up here. And then you see these children, these babies, they start to like stick their arms out, push their arms out. They start trying to lift their neck up off the bed. They start trying to roll over. And what they're doing is, as they're going through the struggle, right? First, there's a change followed by struggle. As they go through that struggle, their muscles, their coordination, all of that stuff starts to get stronger, right? It starts to grow. And as the muscles grow and the coordination grows, then all of a sudden they roll over and we're like, yay, baby rolled over.
Mm.
And then it happens again, right? There's a change. They say, okay, well, now I'm not okay with just rolling over. I want to crawl. Then they go through this process of struggling with their muscles, which ultimately leads to the growth of the muscles, which leads to success. They crawl. Then they go through it again and they walk. And we go through it again as we go, as we grow up. And so change, struggle, grow, succeed. That's the process of my life, your life, and everybody's life, and will continue to be for the rest of forever. As things change, we can always count on them being followed by struggle. Know that struggle that a lot of people run from is where your growth comes from. Mm-hmm. The growth is what leads to success. There is no success without growth. So for me in my life, I had many, many, many times where, I was going through a season of change and didn't really know who I was or my identity. And so I tended to make some bad decisions with that in my early years, chasing the girls, the drinking, the drugs, all of those things. And those changes in my life led to major struggles, man. I've been homeless. I've been in jail 17 different times. I've been suicidal, massively depressed. All of those things in my, from 20 to 30 was crazy, man. Like, and it was just this, I would make a change and then I would struggle, and my struggles were really hard and really real. But through that, I've been able to grow into the man that I am today, and to have the opportunities that I now have with my family, with my business, with my platform, speaking and sharing my message with the world. It all came from those struggles. So now I'm experiencing some seasons of success on the backside, but I'm prepared for the next change, the next struggle. You know what I'm saying? So that's kind of how it goes. That's the way I look at the world. And right now things are not easy. They're still really, 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 really hard. It's just a season of success until the next big thing comes at us,
Yeah. Well, yeah. Thanks for sharing that with us. And I agree that without the struggle, you don't develop the muscle, right? It's not really always the physical muscle, the brain muscle, or
that's right,
that you require for success. So, some people that went through, it's easy also when you go through some of the hard points. A lot of people that are a little bit weaker can give up, right? Yeah. And because they don't know that, I often tell people that the failure is always required, because it's not like success is in one direction and failure is in the other one. They're both in the same direction. You just have to pass through the failure to get there. And people who think that success is an opposite direction, when they get to the failure, they may start to walk back.
Sure.
And they get further away from where they actually wanted to be. So yes, if you're going through any rough times, just know that don't give up. Everything gets better.
No doubt.
Glenn, there's one thing that I don't know the full story that I remember many, many years ago, like a century ago, where before there was cars that you would be able to sell, people would ride around in horses and chariots, sure. and there were U.S. cities that were so overpopulated that there was so much horse poo that was the issue. It was so big that they thought they wouldn't be able to ever control it.
Right.
And then with the invention of cars, that kind of fixed itself, right? And that was one of the solutions that there was no solution at the time. They couldn't figure it out. And with time, most things ended up solving themselves.
Sure.
And just knowing that is going to help a lot of people out there.
I agree, 1,000%.
And you mentioned winters. That's a good analogy, because my winters here are 8 months long. So I'm in Alberta, Canada. So
8 months of winter. Whew.
That's it. And then it goes from winter to, it starts to warm up, and then we go into summer, and it's actually really beautiful in here. And
nice.
So
nice.
those
2 weeks.
Those two maybe 2 months of summer that we get here are worth it. So that's why people stay so long.
Right. Nice.
So tell me, what are some of the biggest lessons that you learned?
So I've learned quite a few things. One of the biggest things that I've learned in life is that we're most comfortable in life like right before death. Is one thing that I realized. There was my grandfather, Alfred Smith. My grandfather passed away. He died from cancer, and my grandfather was a military man. He was an honorable man. He was married to my grandmother for 49 years. She never had a driver's license. She never had a job. She never needed any of that. Grandpa took care of everything. And he was just a good old American, boy. And I never saw him not wearing a shirt and tie, ever. Saturday, shirt and tie. Sunday, shirt and tie. Monday through Friday, shirt and tie. The man always wore a shirt and tie. And I got a phone call saying that he only had, moments left to live. We all needed to get to the hospital. I was in Kentucky. Other members of my family were around the country. So it took everybody a while to get there. And my grandfather, even though they told him he had minutes left to live, he held on until the very last family member showed up, my Aunt Julie. And when she showed up, we were all surrounding his bed, like in a semicircle. And here's this man in this bed, and I don't even recognize him. He's got the gowns and the tubes, and his eyes are sunken in, and he doesn't look like the grandpa I know, this a good old American, amazing, full of life human. He just doesn't even look like him, completely different. And so we're sitting there around the bed, and all of a sudden my grandfather says, I told you my grandfather was in the military, so he likes dirty jokes.
Yeah.
And so here he is laying there on the bed. And he says to my stepdad, "Come tell me my favorite dirty joke." And so my stepdad goes over there, and my stepdad's name is Everett. And so my grandpa, his name is Al. He says, "Everett, tell me my favorite dirty joke." And my stepdad leans over and he says, "What do you call Moby Dick's father?" And my grandpa kind of cracks a little bit of a smile, and he says, "I don't know, Everett, what?" And my stepdad says, "Papa Boner." And we all laugh, and the tears come out of our eyes. And then my grandpa says, "Bring me my wife." And my grandmother, all 4'10" of her, she's this tiny little woman. She goes and she climbs into bed with my grandfather, and he wraps his arms around her, and he passes away.
Wow.
In that very moment. And that experience Quinn, it taught me that we're most comfortable. Well, it taught me two things. The one thing that it taught me is that we are spiritual beings. Like, you can't argue with me. Science cannot explain to me how my grandfather, who had moments left to live, was able to hold on until the very last family member came. He was able to get told his favorite joke right before he passed away and wrap his arms around his wife of 49 years. Science can't explain that to me. We are spiritual beings. We are connected. We are not just flesh and bone. So that was the one thing. But the second thing I learned is we're most comfortable in life right before death. Because there was a moment when my stepdad was telling the favorite joke and my grandmother was coming over, there was this brief moment where my grandfather, like, the light had come back on in his eyes. His skin had filled back in. The pain had gone away. Like, he looked like the grandpa that I knew, this American, amazing, superhuman. Like, he looked like that guy. And it was just a brief moment, Quinn. It was not long. It was just a moment. But for a moment, he was comfortable right before he passed away. And so I've never forgotten that. And I remind myself, anytime I start to get comfortable, I ask myself a question. I say, hey, are you ready to die yet? And if the answer is no, then I go out and I challenge myself to continue to seek uncomfortable situations, continue to go to the next level, continue to try to learn, to stretch the boundaries of your imagination and what's possible in your life. Because I don't know about you, bro, but I'm not ready to die yet. I'm not. So for those that are always out there seeking comfort, I challenge you. Stop trying to live a comfortable life. Instead, go out there and live a challenged one.
Beautiful, Glenn. I mean, the story itself is beautiful. And I mean, being there must have been like one of those experiences, you know. People often talk about, I had an experience that's life-changing. So that's one of them.
Yeah, man.
And looking for to be uncomfortable. There's a lot of people who don't understand this, Glenn. It's being uncomfortable while you're growing and doing things that obviously you're not comfortable with. But there's a lot of people that think being uncomfortable is doing things that others don't agree with, because too many people focus on other people's opinions or what they're going to think of you. And that's one of the things that you have to put aside, is what people think of you, or what you think. That's even worse. What you think
that other people think. Yeah, that is worse.
often we are always our worst. Our worst. We're very judgmental of ourselves.
Yeah, no doubt.
We can put thoughts in our mind of what others are thinking about us, and it may not be true. So if you can control that, and then being comfortable with the other growth, the one that's actually making you growing, that's what Glenn is talking about here, guys.
That's it.
Right? It's not what you think people think. Right?
That's right. It's about, just pushing yourself to that point of the struggle. The struggle is where all the growth happens. So, if you're the smartest fish in the, if you're the smartest person in the room, then you're in the wrong room. Simple as that.
Yeah, I like that. Always surround yourself with people that are smarter than you. So, Glenn, you did that. I know you studied successful people to see kind of what their lessons were, right? What made them successful. Is that what you do in the Rise and Grind?
Yeah, so my Rise and Grind show, that's a daily morning show, Monday through Friday, 5:30 a.m. And then I also have a group on Facebook, #Rise and Grind, a little over 30,000 members in the group. And so the premise of #Rise and Grind is simple. It's that you've got, as far as the group and the structure and the show, it's motivation, education, and inspiration. That's all you'll ever find in the group. That's all you'll ever hear on the show. Motivation, education, inspiration. But really, the mission and the message that we're trying to get across is that if we can change the way you start your day, it'll make a massive impact in your life. Just a simple change of changing the way that you start your day. And so we believe, and I believe, that if I can help teach people to rise every single day with intention and purpose, then they will ultimately evolve into the absolute best version of themselves that they can possibly be. And when they become the best version of themselves they can possibly be, they now have the ability to make an impact on their friends, on their family members, on their communities, globally. They can change the world. And the best part about it is it's something that we can do together, right? All of us growing, leveling up, teaching each other, expanding, impacting. It's something that we can do together. So our four, core values are rise, evolve, impact, together. And that's what hashtag Rise and Grind is. A body of 30,000 people that we come together. We do things in the community. We do things online. We raise money for different things, organizations and whatnot. And then also we're just a place of motivation, education, and inspiration.
Do you have a morning routine yourself?
I do. So I have 5 simple steps, and I wrote a short book on this. You can get it for free at themorning and then the number 5.com. You can get it. It's a short read, take you maybe an hour to read the whole thing. There's an Audible version of it as well. But it's five simple steps, and my book breaks them down. So step 1 is never hit the snooze button. Never. I saw your eyes kind of look over. Oh, never hit the snooze button. That's 1. Number 2 is don't touch your phone first thing in the morning.
I do that.
Oh, I saw your eyes go over. Look.
No, I do that one. I don't touch it in the first hour.
Good. Yeah, not in the first hour. Yes, that's very, very, very smart. There's too much bad stuff in there. Yep. So no snooze, don't touch your phone. Number 3 is gratitude and goals, which to a lot of people that sounds like 2 different things, like writing down the things you're thankful for, writing down your goals, but really it's one. The reason I believe that is everybody hears, you need to write down your goals. And I think it is powerful and important to write down your goals. However, I feel like you have to, however, if you write your goals from a place of lack, they are not as powerful energy-wise as if you write your goals from a place of abundance and a place of appreciation. So it's really important that you write down all of the things that you're thankful for prior to all of your goals, aspirations, and desires. It just adds fuel. So you're saying, I'm happy where I'm at. I'm thankful for all that I have, but I'm still going to reach for more. Versus when you go straight into goals from lack, you're like, everything I have sucks. I hate my house. I hate my life. I hate my job. And now I'm going to reach for more. The energy is completely different. So step 3 is gratitude and then goals. Step 4 is take care of the physical, some type of physical exercise, whether you work out, whether you walk, whether you play a sport, whatever it is, just take care of yourself physically. And then number 5 is the most powerful one of the entire system. So basically what you've done in the first 4 steps is you've spent the entire morning being selfish in a positive way. You've been taking care of yourself, your own gratitude, your own goals. You're taking care of yourself physically. You're not touching your phone. You're not allowing anyone else into your world. You're really being selfish in the morning, but it's a positive selfish. So now that your energy is vibrating at such an incredible frequency, you now have a responsibility to do step 5, which is to send out an encouraging message to someone else, to make an impact in someone else's life, to lift them up. And it's really just as easy as grabbing your phone and sending out a text. Hey, John, really appreciate our conversation we had the other night. Really meant a lot to me, man. I'm really glad that you're my friend. Hey, Quinn, I really appreciate you having me on your podcast yesterday. It was an incredible opportunity. I appreciate you listening to my voice. Hey, honey, I just want you to know we've been together for years and I love you more today than I've ever loved you before. Hey, coworker, hey, person on Facebook, I know you've been dealing with whatever, and I just want to encourage you. You're an amazing human. Thank you, right? Send out an encouraging message when you're vibrating at this massive frequency. Dude, it shreds through obstacles. It breaks down walls. It dives deeply into people's hearts and minds, and it always comes back tenfold. Always, every single time. So step 5 are 1, no snooze, 2, stay off your phone, 3, gratitude goals, 4, take care of the physical. 5, send out an encouraging message. You do those 5 simple steps every single day, and it'll lead you to an extraordinary life, I assure you.
And Glenn, that's fantastic, man. You, I can see you're an expert at this. So I wrote them down. I'm here taking notes as if I'm listening to somebody else's podcast.
That's awesome.
So I wrote them down. I also got the site, the Morning 5. I'm going to put that on the show notes.
Thank you.
For people that want to hear more about you, and I'm sure they would, because this is incredible. And
Thank you.
Just by doing these 5 steps, I know people's lives will change if you do them, because
that's right.
I don't do all of them. I do snooze my alarm, and it actually infuriates me that I do it.
I bet.
Because every day, if I set it for a certain time, it means I want to be up at that time, and I'm not obeying myself. And that's so frustrating.
Yeah.
But the others I do. Like the first hour, I know how powerful that is. Do not touch your phone, because everybody's emergencies are going to be there waiting for you.
No doubt.
Emails. And then, the terrible social media posts that are going to be notifications. So I do that one too. I'm very grateful for everything, but I don't write it down. So I'm going to start. Writing it down.
Good.
Do more physical exercise. And then the 5th one, like you said, when you're vibrating with all the positive things in you, now sharing that with somebody else, not only it's going to make them feel great, but guess what? What it does is that's why a lot of people love you, Glenn, because you make them feel good.
Hey, thank you.
People always remember how you make them feel.
That's a fact.
That is so powerful.
Yeah, man. Super, super strong. And Quinn, I want to challenge you, man. The snooze button, there's components of that, right? Like it's infuriating I can't say it right now, but it's frustrating, right? And that's part of it. But there's also some biological things that are going on in your body when your body is prepared to wake up. It knows when the alarm is set. It's used to your patterns. And so when you hit the snooze button, you're sending yourself into another sleep cycle. So it's really the biggest liar on the planet, right? You think if I snooze for 10 more minutes, I'll get 10 more minutes of sleep. But really what happens is you send yourself into another sleep cycle. Most sleep cycles take 2 to 3 hours to complete. So you're going to feel groggy for the next hour and a half, 2.5 hours because of that extra 10 minutes of sleep. Whereas if you just get up when the alarm goes off, you'll feel groggy for about 4 or 5 minutes, and then you're good because your body was prepared to wake up at that time. So I challenge you to really attack that. And also I want to let you know, Harvard did a study, and biologically speaking, if you do an action 67 days straight, on day 67, it'll be easier to do it than to not do it. On day 66, it's harder to do it than to not do it. So that's why a lot of people fall off, is they'll try something for 30 days or they'll try something for 40 days. And then, after 5-6 weeks of working out, they fall off or whatever. It's because biologically it takes 67 days for that to be ingrained, to become easier to do than to not do. So on themorning5.com, it talks about it. We challenge people, do these 5 simple steps for 67 straight days, and then it'll be easier to do it than to not do it. And it changes your whole world.
Thanks for that, Glenn. I'm going to definitely try it, and because it makes sense. Because there are some days, and they're rare, that I have to wake up even before the alarm goes off.
Sure.
Right, and I feel more energetic right there.
That's right.
When I take the snooze, there is the next hour or so that you don't even want to talk to people. You just want coffee and be alone. So that makes perfect sense. And there was another thing about the 67 days. There's a lot of people, and many of you are probably listening right now, that you heard that it takes 21 days to create a habit. That study was done almost a century ago when humans change. We don't have the same attention span anymore. There's people that say that humans have an attention span smaller than a goldfish.
Right.
And it is true. Even me personally, I know I was able to focus on things for long periods of time before. And now it's so easy to get, there's always a shiny object.
No doubt.
And it's like, something new.
Yeah, so, you don't even realize it.
Yeah, humans have changed. And it does take 67. Maybe for some people it takes longer. I don't know, but
it takes a while, and that's really what you need. Is you need a biological change. It's gotta change on a cellular level. When things change on a cellular level, then it's easier for you to continue that new pattern.
Perfect. So Glenn, I have the Morning Five for the show notes. Where else do you want people to look for you and find you?
Yeah, if they can go to glennlundy.com on my website, it's got links to Facebook, Instagram, all my socials. It's got links to all the videos that I do, the work that I do with car dealerships. All of that stuff is at glennlundy.com.
Sweet. I'll have those on the show notes, and I'm going to check out here on the Morning Five. The book, I saw that. Does it have an audio version? I saw that some.
It does. Uh-huh.
That's beautiful. Okay, I want the audio one.
Yeah.
I lose my focus when I'm reading on, small letters. I lose my focus even.
I do too, man. I do too. So I very much like an Audible. I'll listen to an Audible, and then if I love the book, I'll go ahead and get it on paper, and I'll reread it as I'm listening to not at the same time, but I might have the Audible in my car and the book in my hand. But that's the only way. I can't just sit and read a book for long periods of time anymore. It doesn't work.
That's so funny because I do that. I buy the Audible to listen, and sometimes I buy the book just to have on the shelf brand new. I never open them.
Yeah, I feel you on that too.
Well, I'm guessing a lot of people that hear podcasts have that feeling too. That
sure.
It's so much easier. Glenn, thank you so much. We have to stay in touch, and I'm going to download the book right now.
Awesome, man. I appreciate that. Thank you so much for having me on.
Thank you.
All right, my man. Take care.